Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat, a little ramble, if you will, as we all want to do on a Monday. It is the 1st of March, 2021. It's a new day, it's a new month, it's a new life, and I'm going to stop doing that now. So we've got a couple of brief things to talk about, and one major thing to talk about, which is the Lord of Skulls. We'll get to it in a second. Firstly, a couple of things regarding Kill Team Pariah Nexus. Firstly, I did not address this in the video where we talked about Pariah Nexus because I thought that it came with the rules, but it doesn't. It would appear it does not come with the core rules. This is a £95 box. I believe it should come with the rules, but it doesn't. Apparently it was stated that it did, but then it was quietly changed to say that it didn't. This is brought up by a viewer of the channel, Michael, who also pointed out something a bit more serious, which is that the articles talking about the Kill Team Killzone environment, they are showing images that are not what you actually get when you buy them. They're showing the old kill zones. Now, I did initially plan to do a video about this, but what I'm doing is I'm waiting for a response. See, I've messaged the Warhammer community team because I really want to believe that that is a mistake. Not something nefarious, not something that is intentionally being done to essentially falsely advertise something, because that's what it kind of looks like, but I'm not. I want the context. I don't think it's entirely fair to just assume nefarious intent when it could simply be that when you are releasing a new... let me try and make sure I've got this right. A new range of 3 products that also share the name with an older range of 3 products, whilst also saying that they're new, but then in another article say that it's the return of the kill zone, like the classic kill zones, but also their new kill zones, but they have the same name as the old ones. You can see where I'm going with this, right? Simultaneously across 2 articles, we're showing the contents of 3 boxes that are not currently available. Different boxes are available. They're referred to as new kill zones. They're also referred to as the return of the classic Kill Team kill zones, and in one of the articles it shows the old boxes but shows pictures from the new products. It feels like just a mess of like placeholders and things being essentially not edited when they should have been. Just a mistake. Essentially just using the wrong images for the products. And I want to make sure that that is the case if it's the case, or that it's not the case if it's not the case. And the only way to do that is to wait and hear what they've got to say. If it's corrected, if it's addressed, if it's a case of, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's wrong, that is not what that should be, they should be images from the new boxes, not these older ones that we've used by accident, then there is, I mean, aside from going proofreading, like, there's not really much we can say about that as long as it's corrected. If it's just completely glossed over and ignored, and it's still like that in like a few days or a week or whatever, then we'll talk about it, because that will be proven to be not correct and not the right way to go about advertising things. But on the surface of it, it could easily just be an error, a miscommunication, or indeed a placeholder not being updated. But I want to make sure that we have that information before we go in on it, because it's not great if it was intentional. That's putting it very, very mildly, but we'll see. The main topic of today's video, we'll go to those, we'll see what happens. The main topic of today's video is the Lord of Skulls. Now, the Lord of Skulls is it's at the forefront of my mind because of the Marnius Calgar comic. Now, if you're reading that comic and you do not want to be spoiled for the ending of the last one, then just off you go. It's fine, leave. It's not a problem. I understand. Spoilers suck. I don't want you to be involved. If you don't want to be involved, that's fine. Go now and then come back to this after you've read it. It's not a problem. But there's been a significant amount of discourse. Discourse with a capital D and lots of takes with capital T, because Marnius Calgar did something really quite impressive. He tore the head off a Lord of Skulls. Now, I was going to do a video about this last week. In fact, I sat down to record one on Friday, but it mostly turned into just inane rambling about how utterly useless the Lord of Skulls is. And I figured that's way more entertaining. At the end of the day, Space Marines do mad overpowered stuff pretty much constantly. Marnius Calgar ripping the head off one of these things, not necessarily likely, but you know what? I've already read about Mephiston taking a step outside of moving aircraft to fly along ahead of it whilst incinerating waves of Tyranids with his mind. I can let a few things go, Devastation of Baal was actually quite a good book. But, it's just another example of how is this Space Marine doing these insane things? Because a lot of the time in the lore and in the fluff, that's kind of what they do. They do insane things. Whether this is a step too far is entirely subjective. I would argue it is both a step too far and also kind of hilarious and kind of badass at the same time. And so I roughly kind of even out into, yeah, I'm alright with it, whatever. But the Lord of Skulls is the main thing that I got hung up on, because I mostly just talked about how really quite shit it is, to be honest. And I just want to preface something here before we go into this, because there'll be those of you who sit there and say, why are you hating? You don't even play World Eaters? What are you talking about? Do you even like the Lord of Skulls? Don't criticise it. Why are you applying realistic standards to a fake sci-fi, like, powered, inhabited by a demon, powered by blood machine? Why are you bringing logic into this? Cut it out. You don't even like the Lord of Skulls. I love the Lord of Skulls. I just want to point out, before I go into this, and before I rip this useless vehicle apart for just how absolutely naff it is, I own one, right? Don't come at me. I'm just saying, don't come at me. I have one right here. I've put it together. I have converted bits of it, kit bash bits of it, painted it. It's it's a Lord of Skulls. It's dedicated to Slaanesh, so it's pink and pink and kind of a bluey colour, and it's got Keeper of Secret claws and a spear. But it's still, and it's got Nickelodeon slime instead of blood. But it's still a Lord of Skulls. That is what this is, right? So do not come after me, giving it large, going the whole, you don't even own one. What are you talking about? I do own one. They're fucking expensive, alright? It's like 95 quid for this. It's smaller than a knight, technically. That's why it's on a base. You don't put a Lord of Skulls on a base. It's only on a base because I wanted to build it up so it was still at the same head height as an Imperial Knight. Otherwise it'd be shorter. Ludicrous, absurd, ridiculous model. I love it. I own one. It's right here. You can see it. I really should be careful waving it around because it's not glued. It moves around. It's just like the base is just for display. Anyway, I'm going to put him down now. So, the Lord of Skulls. Let's just dive into it, right? So Marnius rips the head off a Lord of Skulls, and the overall reaction is, this is absurd, it's ridiculous. How can you possibly do this? The Lord of Skulls is solid. The Lord of Skulls is not solid. It is a useless and terrible vehicle, full of absolutely shocking design flaws. Now, let's just take a quick moment to appreciate the power source of the Lord of Skulls, which is the vats of blood on its back. Its completely undefended, unprotected back. Not just vats of blood, but vats of blood with glass, so that you can see the blood better. Does it look cool? Yes. Could the Lord of Skulls do anything at all to prevent someone from strafing its rear end and absolutely obliterating it? No, it could not. Of course it couldn't. Stupid. Terrible. It can't even, swivel at the waist. I just want to point that out. You may be thinking, well, if it turns, and the torso turns, does like a J turn, does like a slew manoeuvre. It can't turn its upper half because it's anchored via that large spinal column to the back of its own body. Yeah, you might get a little bit of give and take one way or the other, but it's hardly spinning round on its axis, is it? It can't do that. That's not something that it's physically capable of. Now, that's bad. That's already bad. We also need to consider that the Lord of Skulls is, in a way, unique in that its weak spot is everywhere but directly in front of it. It cannot really turn to the left or right. The torso doesn't turn. It can't turn because it's got a gun stuck in the middle of it. It can't swivel at the waist. It can't pivot in any way. In fact, you can just about see... You see all those pistons holding it there? Yeah. How are you going to spin on your axis with that going on? You can't. It can only look forwards. It can maybe tilt slightly to the left or right. Can it turn, though? No, it cannot. Let's talk about the arms. The arms, for instance. What exactly is its arc of fire? What are we looking at? Are we looking at a solid, 180 degrees? 360 just spins around like an owl. No. The arms are terrible because they can only really face forwards. Now, when you look at something like an Imperial Knight, there's all sorts of weird joint stuff going on. They could probably, if they wanted to, point a gun directly behind them. Lord of Skulls does not have that. Lord of Skulls does not have flexible joints. Its arms face forwards, or alternatively, face down and forwards, or slightly up and forwards. Important to know at this point, the shoulder pads on a Lord of Skulls are not connected to the arms. They're connected to the upper body, much like an Imperial Knight, but the arms just do not allow for swinging wide. It's kind of always in this kind of tense, close arm position. It also can't look up or down. There's that myth that, what is it? The myth that dogs can't look up? Lord of Skulls genuinely can't look up. The neck doesn't function as a neck. It just turns. It's anchored into the top of the chest. So it can't look up or down. It can't turn at the waist. It cannot move its arms in any reasonable semblance of movement. The central gun you'll notice on the torso kind of means that it's not particularly flexible either. It's just not good. It's just not a good design. It's a terrible design. This is not news to you. You already know this. The Lord of Skulls is, as fighting machines go, absolute garbage in terms of how it would actually work. It's useless. It's naff, right? I really don't care about Marnius Calgar jumping off something and landing on it and ripping its head off, because frankly, it wouldn't even know he was there. Unless he's standing directly in front of it, preferably on some sort of ledge so he's about at eye height, because the massive grill, the massive collar, bit of armour sticking up in front of the face means that its own field of view is cut off at the bottom. It wouldn't even know it existed anyway, because look at it. For me, the question is not, could Marnius Calgar defeat a Lord of Skulls? It's more, how does a Lord of Skulls survive any battle at any given time anyway? Given that surely anyone with any mild semblance of tactical acumen will be able to outmaneuver this lumbering, useless, weak spot covered, blood powered and completely unprotected in its power monstrosity as it just trundles across the battlefield. Probably these have fallen over more than once, right? I mean, look at the setup. Splayed at the back, but not splayed at the... splayed at the front, but not splayed at the back in terms of tracks. That's unnecessarily unstable. It really is. You could easily get, some terrain that just means that it just topples sideways, just falls off. It's not. It's definitely not, outside the realm of possibility. In fact, it's probably quite likely. It's just not good. It's just not a good vehicle in any way. It's just naff. It really is not very well designed in any way, shape or form. And yet, Muggins here owns one. I bought one. I don't care how dumb it is. It's stupid. It's a crap vehicle. But look at it. Look at it. It's a big, beefy lad on massive, beefy tracks. He's got a giant... I mean, mine's got an axe. It's got a spear because it's Slanesh. But the axe alone is borderline worth the £95 asking price. That's not true. But it's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's such a shit vehicle. It really is. It's absolutely garbage. I love it, though. I can't get enough. I just can't get enough. It's mental. It's perfect 40k mental as well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't matter that it's got a bloody snowplow on the front of it, or that its track setup is kind of unstable, or that its power source is just some fucking vats on the back of it with glass. With glass! Why? Why would you do it? It's not got a force field or anything. What's the point? Why would you anchor it to its own back versus via a spine that means it can't turn? Why would you do any of it? Does it matter though? Does it really? Does it matter? Look at it. It's solid. It's great. Absolutely, just absolute lunacy. Stupid design. It's brilliant. I love it. Anyway, more rambly than I actually meant that to be. How much do you love the Lord of Skulls? You better... I mean, if you're not in favour of it, I don't even know why you're here. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. It's It's the perfect design. It's the perfect design. It's a tank and it's a man. It's a massive gun and another massive gun, but also a melee monster. It's powered by blood, but the blood is kept in canisters on its undefended arse. How could you get better than that? How could you improve the Lord of Skulls? I know what you're going to say. Give it legs, make it a Khitan Demon engine. I don't care. No. Inferior. Inferior, even though it's actually better. Let me know what you think of the Lord of Skulls in the comments down below. I expect 100% approval rate. That's all I have to say on the matter. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.